Hi everyone, this is Tonya Gibbs with Psycho Mom Scrapbooks and More, and tonight we are going to experiment a little bit with some watercoloring techniques, some doodling techniques, and hand lettering. So I have prepared a couple of things here to the side, but the list tonight is very limited for supplies. All you need is a good watercolor set. This is one that I picked up, I think, at Michael's. It's just the artistic brand, I believe, whatever the Michaels brand of watercolors. Nothing fancy. You could use Crayola, whatever. I just happen to like this one because it has a lot of different colors on it, so you don't have to mix as much. Um, I'm going to say with this one, while this is, I'm not a professional watercolor artist. The techniques that I'm going to share with you guys tonight are things that I've discovered on my own that made it a little simple for me. So I thought I would pass it along because, um, to be perfectly honest with you, a year ago I probably would have said I could never do that. But I've kind of been picking up a few things here and there, and I wanted to kind of pass them along to you guys. So for those of you new to the show, welcome. Welcome to my broadcast, and as always, there will be a follow-up blog post tomorrow, or it might be a day in the next couple of days. There'll be a follow-up post that will go over the things we made tonight, kind of recap the show, and the video recording. It is being recorded right now as we speak. So feel free to chatter, and if you have any questions, just get my attention. I've got my chat right here where I can get it to it. Peggy is our moderator tonight. She's a really great friend of mine, and I appreciate her so much for doing this for me. Um, okay, so what I pulled out is I have a paper towel, just kitchen towel, sitting here off to the side, and this is going to be a blotter. I've got a wonderful jar of water here that I hope I do not tip over. Just some white paint for some splatters later. A little squirt bottle that has water in it. This is clean water, obviously. And I am using, this is kind of an off-white stock. Um, Here, I'll put it next to something white and you can see it's kind of got a creamy tone to it. This is just 110-pound bond. So I don't recommend watercolor paper for this because we are going to be doodling. If you use watercolor paper, it has a texture to it, and the let me enable links. I'm very sorry, Peggy. Hold on just a minute. Links are now enabled. You can try that again. You were censored. Hi, Beatrice. So I recommend a heavy stock smooth paper. In my research of hand lettering, I have discovered that it's really best to not use copy paper because it's got a slick surface, so while your pen does glide, it typically smears. That's one tip that I've picked up along the way. I am going to use a heavy stock today, and this is because I'm going to be using water. So as you can see, it's going to buckle a little bit, but that's okay. I think that kind of adds some realism to it. And if that bothers you, then you can always trim this off and mount it onto another card base for a more sturdy card. But if you do need to mail these, then um, it does make really nice to be able to do one layer cards. And I think they're gorgeous. Look at this. So we're going to make this one tonight. Um, where's the, oh, and we're going to definitely make this one tonight. They're very similar in design, but just wanted to give you a couple of different flower options. And then if we have time, I will show you guys how to do this one because it uses the principles from both techniques. But again, all of these cards use the exact same technique. They were all done with very similar themes in mind. And these are doodles. As far as I'm concerned, these are doodles. Um, you could totally cut these out and make layers, paper layers out of them on your layouts if you wanted to. You can do all kinds of fun things with these. You could even like make a scrapbook page and doodle these after I teach you this technique, doodle these right onto your cardstock and then decorate around them with your photographs for your layouts. So I may do that as a follow-up post and do one to show you guys how to do that later on with the process video. So let's go ahead and get started. So one thing we do want to go over is paper. Paper choices, I think I kind of hit that just now. We're going to use a 110-pound bond. Now let's talk about pens. You really want to make sure you're using a pen that has a really nice flow. And I always say this, what works for me may or may not work for you. It's called practice. It's called, you know, it has to do with the way you hold the pen in your hand. It has to do with the way you hold your hand. There's so many things that go into drawing as far as I'm concerned. Recently, I have been on a mission to find the ultimate drawing pen, and while I understand there is one, and I know Lemoore has them in her shop, I hear that one's a really good one. I don't have it, but locally I did find this one. This is called, this is made by Marvy, and this is a Reminisce pen, and I found it at Joann's. This is what it looks like. It's a really nice gel pen. It has a really nice, I think it's a 0.7. So I have that pen. I've also got this pen, which is great because it's permanent. This is made by Sharpie. This is and it has this felt tip end. Of course, all the micro pens are the bomb. If you have those are perfect. Another pen I recently fell in love with is this Uniball Signo pen. You can find it at most office supply stores. There it is right there. Uniball Signo. And this one is the Micro 207. And it is supposed to be permanent as well. And then today, oh, and then I also have a jelly roll pen in white for us to do some highlights. And then I also have a Sharpie pen. So this is going to be an exercise and just figuring out what works great for you. Now, I will say this about this pen. I broke my hand a few years ago, so I have a difficult time with this pen because it's so thin. So if you have a hard time holding on to thin pens and you really like this pen, buy one of those little rubber grips to go on the pen. Or you can always take, hi Pam, welcome. You can always take rubber bands and rub them around there until you get the thickness that you need so that it can hold a grip in your hand. So these are your pens. Now I will confess I used this pen, this Reminisce pen, to do all of these cards that I just showed you guys. And another set of pens that I just purchased today, I want to try them out. I've never tried them, so we'll see. But like I said, my favorite pen, it has been this Uniball Signo pen. This is the Uniball Signo pens in color, and I just bought these at Office Depot and they were like $15 for this whole set, I think. It may have been less. I don't even know how much it was. I think it may have been around $10. I'm not even sure. But Peggy, if you want to go to Office Depot and look for these pens and drop the link in there, go ahead. I am freehanding every bit of this. Total freehand, and I'm going to show you how to freehand too. So these say this is what you're looking for when you're looking for a watercolor-y type outlining doodle pen. You want to make sure it's permanent, and I saw this. It protects against water, fading, and fraud. So I'm assuming these are waterproof because they say that. It also says on the side that no, it wasn't this pen that did it, but these dry super fast. Like the second you write with them, just about they are set. So they say they're really good for left-handed people. Now, my husband's left-handed, so I will test that out after I open these up. But I have always been in love with Uniball pens. So I like these water fading fraud resistant. And I love that. Oh, look at all these colors. I mean, they're luscious. Look at that. So I may substitute some of my black doodling out for some of these colored ones tonight, and I will test these out with you guys on camera. So that goes over our colors. This is what I'm using for watercolor. Anything you want, this came from Michaels. This was like the artist brand of watercolor paints. I do have more professional watercolor paints, but for something like this, honey, I want to be free to get up and go. Another thing you may need to invest in is a set of brushes. And when I say invest, I spent like maybe $3 on these. This is a number 14 round, and I'll put all the measurements of all of these brushes on the follow-up blog post. So that's a number 14, and look at the size difference. This is what it means when it says 14. This one is a 10. This one's a 14. They're the same round tip brush, but if you notice the thickness of the brush bristles, one's a little bit thicker than the other. Okay, so the 14 is bigger than the 10. And then I've also pulled out, this is a liner script pen, a number 1 liner script. I said pen, but this is a paintbrush. So see how long the bristles are with this? See how long they are? I'm really going to use this one the most. This one and this one are the two I'm going to use the most. Now, I wanted to show you guys what not to do. So I've also pulled out a 1/2 inch flat. You can use these, but they're used for specific strokes. So I have one out, and then I also have a slant brush out. This is an angled 1/4 inch angled brush. Okay, now every time I turn around, I hear somebody go, I can't do that, I can't do that, I'm just not that artistic, I can't draw, I can't do it. Well, let me tell you something, I think you can. And the reason I think you can is because all you need, oh, and I have a pencil, and I also have a water brush here. Not sure if I'll use them, but I have them. I think you can do it. I think the problem that most people have is that they're using the wrong tools at the wrong time. And that's why they can't. You know, you don't send a big fat Sharpie pen out to do an outlined job. Okay, so the same thing with paintbrushes. You wouldn't try to write your name with a flat brush unless you're trying to do a really big, you know, this size brush is going to do a huge lettering effect. So if you're doing a poster, maybe you would want this. If you were trying to do something kind of somewhat calligraphy, maybe you would try that. But if you want a precise liner type outline, you would never use a flat brush to do that. Does that make sense? I mean, I guess you could if you knew what you were doing, but I would, I just remodded you, Peggy. I think the biggest thing here is using the right tools at the right time. Okay, so I am going to start out with a couple of little simple strokes just to show you the technique for creating certain things. And we're going to start with this card first. So I'm going to pull this one out right here. This is going to be the first card that we try. So I'm going to lay it here for a reference. Let me see if I can move it over because you guys don't need to see this, right? I think I'd rather have this up here. Okay, so you can see that now as a reference, right? And we'll pull this back over here. So I'm going to start out with moistening my water palette with just the water, and I'm just going to give it a good spritz. And don't do it over your paper because you'll get splatters all over your paper just like I just did. But let's put that one to the side and we'll try another one. Okay, so what I want to do is I like to start out with my lightest colors first. Okay, because with watercolors they are typically translucent, so you really want to make sure you're using something that has, you know, you start with your light and then you gradually add your darker color, or I do. Now with watercolor painting, sometimes you start with your darker and your shadows and then pull it out to the highlights. But this is not a technical watercolor artistry class. This is Tonya showing you a simple technique for creating beautiful artwork without a whole lot of fuss. Okay, so I'm going to put my brush and get it nice and moist into a jar of water off to the side. These are the Michaels Brands watercolor paints. And then I'm just going to pick a light color. So for this case, I'm going to go with this sort of lighter magenta color here. And I'm just going to grab up some paint. swirling my brush around. And I'm going to find the side of my card, which I want this card to open this way. So I'm going to start out and just place a little round circle. Now notice the position of my brush. It's straight up and down. And I'm just going to swirl around, and don't worry about coloring in the whole thing. It's okay if you have little spots that aren't covered. And again, come back with a little bit of water. And what I like to do is when I put my brush in the water, I like to dab it onto my paper towel, swirl it around, and then this time let's make an even bigger one. Do you guys think you can do this? It's just drawing circles. Seriously, it's this easy. Let me know if you think this is too hard. And then I'm going to come out here and do it again. And notice that I'm keeping all of my flowers a different size. But that's all I'm doing is making circles. Now you can even do some second generations without re-inking your brush and just pull out a few extra small ones. So you think you can do that? Who here thinks that they cannot do this? And I'm not trying to patronize you. I'm just trying to say this is that simple. Okay, so now I've cleaned my brush. I have a clean brush now. And I'm going to grab a little bit of water here. And I want to grab, this time I'm going to grab this light green. This is just a really light green. And with this round brush, this is, by the way, the number 10 brush. This is all I'm going to do. I'm going to touch so that my tip of my brush is pointing that way and just pull to the center of the bud. Then I'm going to tap over next to it and do the same thing, spreading my brush just a little bit and pull back. Don't worry if it gets caught in the color here, that doesn't matter. But see how I have two perfect leaves now. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Again, just remoistening my brush, picking up a little more water. You do want to make sure that your water is not drippy wet. Your paintbrush is not drippy wet. If it is, blot it on your paper towel and do the same thing, pulling back color here. Just no thinking, just do it. Just pull in some color and see how I'm just slapping it on. I'm not really paying too much attention to it, just slapping it in there. Same thing here, point out, pull in. Point out, pull in. Same thing here, point out, pull in, point out, pull in, point out, pull in, then pull one over here maybe. Okay, you guys in? You like? So now let's add a little bit of color to this. Let's add some shading. So again, I'm going to wet my brush. I'm going to pick up a darker red this time. Maybe this, because I had the pink, the lighter pink. This time I'm going to pull in this darker red. A little more water. And this time I'm going to start in the center of my roses, straight up, and just swirl around. This is going to create some shadows. And look at how cute that is. And we've really not done anything. I mean, seriously, I think I could teach anyone to do this, including my husband, who doesn't paint. Does anybody have any questions? It's that simple. You can definitely do this with your watercolor pencils. I may pull those out and do a card with that too. Okay, so now it's time to add a little shading to my little leaves here. So I'm going to come back with this kind of, it's a teal-y kind of color. And this time I'm going to kind of come in a little bit tighter and pull down. And this is just giving a little interest and shading to my leaves. Now the trick to this next step is letting it dry, letting it do its thing. Okay, I'm going to put one more leaf over here because I think I just need a little bit right here. And maybe another one right here. And again, keeping the pointed tip out so that my point of my leaf comes out this way. Okay? So does anybody think they can't do this? Now it's going to get even more awesome. Yes, it's very similar to a Mary Englebright look. This is going to get more awesome when we add our doodling. That's really when it comes to life. So I'm going to put this one to the side, and now we're going to work on, we'll come back to this one in a few minutes. I'm going to work on this one. Same technique, same brush, different petal stroke. Okay, so in this case we want it to go this way. Okay, clean brush. I'm going to get my brush and clean it off. And then this time I'm going to use this sort of medium yellow tone. Okay, and in this case what I want to do is I'm going to create these this flower as if there is a circle here in the center, and then I'm going to push outwards and spread, and I'm going to do it from the center out this time instead of from with the other flower we went with the leaves. It's the same technique as the leaves, but instead we drug it towards the center. This time we're coming from the center of the flower and pushing out. And look at how cool that is. And if you have to rotate your paper, rotate your paper. Don't be afraid. And seriously, this looked like, when I first started doing this, it looked like a kindergartner was doing it, but I honestly thought that my kindergartner nieces and nephews could do better than me at some point. So again, just as review, I'm going to do a circle, and then I'm going to, and that's just helping me keep a radius so that my flowers are being formed in a circular fashion. And see how now my petals have more of a squared off look, even though I'm using a round brush? How many of you think you can do this? Look at how simple that is. And guys, it really comes to life when we do the doodling. It truly does. What paints are being used? These are the artistic watercolor paints from Michaels. It's their Michaels brand. Any watercolor paints could be used. I could seriously pull out a Crayola set and do the same thing. Okay, so let's do another one off over here. Again, we're going to just do a circle, push, 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 push. The paint brushes, this one came from Joann's. What brand is it? It is the Low Cornell Soft Comfort. But again, sometimes I use the ones I get from Michaels in the these are synthetic brushes. They're not true watercolor. I find that the unless you want to spend a lot of money on a brush, which I destroy brushes like terrible. I'm terrible with brushes. You know, an artist would probably cringe at hearing me say this right now. Lamore would probably skin my hide. But for stuff like this, if I'm doing fine art painting, I will use a fine art paintbrush. But for stuff like this, I typically just reach for whatever is the cheapest that I have on hand, in my hand, because what happens is I forget to put them away and clean them, and they end up destroyed. So I'm going to do one more small one right here. And again, just pulling out from the center. And again, same technique, following around in the center, going from the center of the bulb, pushing out to a point. Okay? Everybody got the daisy down? Oh, Jordana, you have to share that. You have to share it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to make our leaves again. And this time I'm going to go back to my light green. Now, Here, let me show you this. There is puddles of paint here. And because these are watercolors, if I were to touch this paintbrush, this with this green on it, directly to this uh, piece right here that is still wet, this green is going to wick into that paint because the watercolor is going to pick it up. So either put it aside and let it dry, move on something else, or hit it with a heat gun and just get it good and dry before you add your second color. They're super easy, guys. This is so easy. I just can't even tell you how easy this is. The hardest part is the doodling and hand lettering, and I hope I can get to all of that tonight. If not, then we'll do a video. But we should be good. We got plenty of time here. Okay, so next what I want to do is I've got this green, this light green, and again, all I'm going to do is just do a swoop, swoop, heart shape. Just make a couple of heart shapes. So here, here, and if it gets in the yellow, it's not a big deal. Don't freak out. And I'm literally just kind of squiggly, just squigging it on. Is the light too bright? Can you guys see what I'm doing? I'm just squiggling it out. And it don't look like much of anything right now, but in a minute it will when I start adding all of this luscious good doodling in here. Okay, so there it is, just squiggle squiggles. Okay, and so now we're going to come back. This time I'm going to clean my brush, get all that green off of there, clean my brush off, and this time I'm going to take the chocolate, again, just, you know, if you need to re-water these, you can squirt them with the water gun or the squirt bottle. And then I have my round brush, again, same brush, and I'm straight up and down. I'm just going to draw a little circle there in the center of my daisies. These are kind of like Black Eye Susans. Pretty cool, huh? Now I'm going to just set that to the side and let it dry. And let's go back to this one because it's probably good and dry now. It needs to be, let's hit it with the heat gun one more time, because I want to get to the doodling part. And again, I'm going to heat it from the back and from the front. Does anybody have any questions while I'm heating this up? Oh, I totally abused the heck out of my brushes. They're terrible. I mean, I don't even know how to tell you how terrible I am. Okay, so here's another thing I do whenever I get these heated up. I just kind of, I don't bend them, but I just kind of like put them back into shape. It is easy. Guys, it is so easy. You can do this. Okay, so now let's go back with our pens. And I'm going to try, I didn't use the Sharpie on the other one. I'm going to try the Sharpie and see how I like it. But what you're going to do, this is the easiest part. I wanted to put a little bit of a border on this one. And again, we're back to this card. So let's get it in the foreground so you guys can see. Mother's Day is right around the corner. If you wanted to sit and make up a whole bunch of these as blanks, I recommend not putting a sentiment on it until you're ready to use it, because then if all fails, you can always stamp a sentiment onto them. But I'm thinking that this might become my travel kit. I might do this because cards are always a great gift idea for people. You know, when you are traveling, you could so totally easily take this with you. Well, I goofed that up. You see how that is? There's no mistakes in doodling. Just free think it. And all I'm doing is just pulling down, doing a little swirl every now and then, and a loop loop, and back around. Don't worry about getting on your flowers. That's okay. And truthfully, with doodled art, I think it is more interesting if it's not perfect. Because, you know, I've heard this said 1,000 times. If it were perfect, I could just print it on my computer. I mean, guys, I could totally just print one out if I wanted to. But I like the hand-drawn look of this. And just adding a border. Look at how much that popped it up, just adding a border. I have a set of watercolor brushes, guys, that I treasure and I take really, really good care of. But when I'm crafting, I typically use junk. I'm not kidding because I'm terrible. I get sidetracked, things sit on my desk. Okay, so this is where it's going to come to life. In the center of each one of my roses and not going in the same direction, I'm going to draw a little tiny heart. Okay, just in the center somewhere, just draw a heart. Now, if your pen is not writing on your watercolor, it is typically because the watercolor is not dry. Ideally, I would put these aside and let them dry for at least 35 minutes, 35 minutes on their own before I started doodling on them. But we don't have that kind of time here in cyber world. So if your gel pen or your felt tip pens are not working, it is typically because you haven't allowed your mediums to dry. Okay? Just give it some time to dry. And see, this one is already becoming stubborn, so it's probably just, it's not dry. So this is the Sharpie. I'm just going to hit this with the heat gun really well because some of this paint is really thick and it isn't drying. It doesn't matter if you use a permanent pen or not on this process. But here's my thing on this. If I should happen to come back and want to add a little bit more water, I would prefer that my pen be um, permanent. Does that make sense? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the base of each one of these hearts, and I'm just going to kind of draw a little squiggle all the way around in a spiral. And if you should happen to draw outside the line of your color, don't worry about it. But look at how just adding that little squiggle gave that so much life. Isn't that cool? I'm telling you, this is so easy. Who thinks they still can't do this? Okay, now on this one, I'm just going to trace around where the mark was, where the watercolor is. And again, I'm going to trace around here, and I'm just going to draw a line out. And there's a leaf. How cute. Throw a point in every now and then. Don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it looks better if it's not perfect. I know it sounds like I'm lecturing. Look at how cool this is already starting to look. Isn't that awesome? And then we're going to come back around here. We're going to just start squiggling out. And truthfully, it is really these imperfect lines and these squiggles that make this entire project come to life. Now, I do have a little blotter piece of paper over here on the side to clean off my marker, my felt tip, because it does get paint residue on it. If you're using a felt tip like this one, this is the Sharpie pen again, the residue from the paint does build up on it, and so you do have to kind of clean it off. Don't just keep digging. Another tip I have for you is see how I'm very loosely holding my pen, and I'm kind of keeping it upright, I'm tilting it to the side, but I'm very loosely holding it. I'm really not liking this Sharpie. I think I'm going to go to the one I was using yesterday. Look at that. Okay. Love it. Are you guys ready for Mother's Day? Do y'all have any big plans? Now, the more details you add, the better it's going to look, I think, in my opinion. The more on purpose some of these irregular lines are going to look, and it's going to just make it fun. Am I still in frame? Just keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving, all the way around, all the way around, in a circle. Look at how fun that is. Look at just how cool that just became. Like in no time. I'm telling you, I think anybody could do this. You don't have to be an artist to do this. You know, it's really funny. I heard somebody say today, you know, people who are true like hand lettering people or coloring people, they typically take their time and do everything so pristine and so perfect. And you know what? There is a place for that. I totally agree that there is. But I also think that sometimes we think so hard about something that it makes us feel like we can't do it. And with doodled art and watercolor especially is so free because it's so fluid and organic, and I think that's really what we need to focus on, is keeping it organic. And you're truly just tracing around splotches of paint. Now that one, let's see. Alright, now I'm going to show you this because I did flub up here. I went out of line. I got a little too sloppy. See how it got offline here? See that? It's okay. Watch this. When I'm done, you'll never know. I'm just going to take and pull out of here and pull out a little spiral. Bring down some weight on that spiral. Pull it back into here. Mistake covered. Voila. And then put a little bit of weight around this spiral. It's all about the doodling here. And then throw a couple of little dots in there. Look at how that just adds a little interest to that. Okay, so again, just a spiral. Don't think about it, just let it flow. Let it flow. Here's another tip. If you see the white of your knuckle, you're holding your pen way too hard. You need to back off a little bit. So are you guys liking this? Do you think you can do this? Am I going to see a whole like flooded a whole bunch of these cards flooding up Facebook tomorrow or sometime this week? And again, it's just draw a spiral. Draw a spiral. My spirals are shaky. That's okay. I broke my hand a few years ago, so my hand is not as steady as I would have liked it to be, which I think is why I kind of like this a little bit, because it's very free. And then right here, I have a giant hole right here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take and come out from this way, and this time on this line, I'm going to draw a heart between the line, all the way up to the tip. Okay? So there's that. You see it? You guys think you can do that? Same thing over here. Let's do it out this way. Let's draw one out this way, put a little heart here at the end, and then starting at the base, I'm going to just draw a little heart. Little hearts, and then keep the center of the hearts right at the line, the point of the line. And then I can pull 1, 2, 3 and put a couple of little dots on the ends. And now look at that. Isn't that cute? And this is where your watercolor pencils would come in handy too, because you could come back and fill in some of these afterwards if your pen is a permanent pen. Okay, so now let's get our sentiment on here before I forget. And in this case, we have the word mom. And this pen just isn't flowing good enough for me. So I'm going to put it to the side. And don't be afraid to switch back and forth between pens if you need to. This is the pen I was using yesterday, and I really loved the flow of it. This is the Marvy Reminisce pen. And again, I got it at Joann's. It's a little thicker in line than the Sharpie was. See the Sharpie? It doesn't have a point size on it, but if I had to guess, it says number 1 black. 920S number 1 black. Okay, so in this case, what I recommend, let's talk about lettering for just a second before we get started with this other. I'm going to put this on my website tomorrow, but what this is I've gone through my font library and I've picked out a couple of fonts that just say happy birthday. So what I want you guys to do to practice hand lettering is I'm going to put this up on the web, and it's a PDF. You can print it out at home, and it's the same font on both columns. This one's a little lighter than this one, and what I want you to do is I want you to start practicing these letters by hand drawing over the practice sheet. I truly believe handwriting is nothing more than practice, practice, practice. When we were in kindergarten, we weren't great at it. Then when we got to first grade, we were a little better at it. Then when we got to second grade, we were even better at it. By third grade, we were great at it. Some of us never mastered it, but I really think little girls who sit and write notes all the time, they write and write and write all the time, and therefore they practice a lot. So their handwriting is usually pretty. It also has to do with how you hold your pen. Make sure your pen, you're not holding it in a death grip. Your hand will get tired and start cramping, and when it cramps, it shakes. And if you just practice over the top, tracing over these letters every day, you will eventually develop a muscle memory for how these letters are formed. So what I would suggest doing is going into Word, and if you say you wanted this to say happy birthday and you wanted it to look like the scripty happy birthday, I would print an entire sheet of this happy birthday and just draw over the top of it all this whole time until you're really good at it. Now if you want to cop out, you can always go back to stamping and stamp one yourself. But in this case, I think I want this one to say love you bunches. Okay? So I will put this PDF up on my website tomorrow for you guys. Do you like that tip? Okay, so I want this to say love you bunches. So I'm going to start out with the bunches down here, and I'm just going to draw really loose. Notice my letters are kind of shaky. They're not perfect. So there's my bunches. Now the trick here is going to be adding a little bit of weight to that. But before I do that, I'm going to continue to draw out the rest of them. So this time I think I want love to be kind of scripty. And then the letter, the U, let's see, let's do it kind of big, like this. Okay, everybody with me? So it says love you bunches. So we're going, and make sure you spell it right. I'm notorious for that. So to add a little bit of weight to some of these and give it the fake look of calligraphy, you're going to come down and usually on the descending of the lines or the curves of the letters, that's where you're going to have your thicker points. So in this case, I'm going to do it on that O. The letter V goes up. It's on the downstroke that it would be the heaviest. Goes up this way. It's the curve of the E. And then I could come back into the curve of this part of the E. Okay? And maybe come out a little bit over onto the swirl and fill in. And as I fill these in, it's just going to give a little bit of life. Can you guys see? It's going to give a little bit of life to this. So your assignment tonight is to go home and practice your handwriting. Get yourself a little art journal and notice that I'm not drawing lines to make it straight and all that. This is doodle art. It's not supposed to be perfect. Okay, quit getting hung up on it being perfect, because that's what ruins it. Because you get so upset and worked up over the fact that it's not perfect that you forget that it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, give a little bit more weight to this Y, maybe only on one side. The U, the same thing, just come back. And again, I'm just drawing lines, that's all. Now to make it more fun, you can put little feet on the ends of the letters here. And you know, I personally think my handwriting is very sloppy, so I'm not super satisfied with that. But then I'll have other people go, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool! I could never do that." Well, you can do it. Can't, never, could. That's what my mama used to always say to me. Can't, never, could. Every time I'd say I can't do it, she'd be like, "Can't, never, could." Same thing here. Just draw the letter B down. Let's pull the U across. Let's pull the N down. Let's take the C, the H, the E, and then the S. Can I zoom in? I can try. Hang on. The camera might fall. I'm trying, guys. Is that good? That's as close as I can get to it. Let me know if that's good. So then all you're going to do is spend some time coloring these in. Now, I might take a little bit more time and make this handwriting a little neater if I was going to give this card to someone, surely. I mean, I could sit here for hours and do this, but because it's a class, I'm going to keep moving. But I highly recommend, if you have a sentiment that you want to learn how to write, or a particular font that you're crazy about, pull it up in Word, create the look that you're after, and then use it as a guide or a reference for drawing your letter forms. And it's practice, practice, practice. Handwriting is just simply art. Drawing, everything is just practice. Though some of the best artists that I know keep journals, but not for the sake of journaling, but as the sake of practicing. Look at how cute that is. Isn't that adorable? Okay, so now here comes some white paint. Let's take, I'm just going to put, I have a little palette here. Oh, that's goopy. That needs to be stirred up. Hang on. This is just plain old acrylic paint, and I mix a extender in it. It's the golden retarder in with it, and it makes it a little more fluid. Oh, let me get all these out of the way so I don't end up splattering everywhere. Okay, so this is what's going to really make it come to life. Just bump it a couple of times and add a couple of little spots here and there. And look at how cute that is. Adorable, isn't it? And it was super simple. Okay, so let's move on to our daisies. Let's go back to our daisies. Again, it's the doodling. Put that out of the way before I knock it over. Let's try a different pen and see how it works. We've tried let's try the Uniball pen and see if I like it better. Now this one I think is a 0.7, but it has a different kind of tip. It's not a felt tip. It's a gel pen, but it has more of it's a hard, fine tip. So let's see how it does. Again, let's draw our little border. Let's do this. Let's do dots and lines. Do you guys think you can do this? And you know what? You can take as much time as you want to make this neat. Like I said, I'm trying to teach a class and get it taught within an hour or so. So I'm trying really hard to hurry here. But even though I'm hurrying, look at how cute these are. And all this is a line with a dot. A line with a dot. Put your dot at the end and then draw your line to it. I don't have a ruler out. I'm not trying to be precise. All lines don't have to be the same size. I think it is a little more interesting in doodled art when it's not perfect. Okay? Easy peasy, right? Okay, so now here we go. I'm just going to follow around. Same principle as before. Just follow around. And again, you don't have to like chisel the drawing in. All you have to do is be free with it. Let the ink just flow and just be free and fast. In fact, I think you should set up a timer and only allow yourself so much time to doodle, my opinion. Because it keeps you moving fast and not thinking it. I really think we overthink it when we take our time. The more handmade this looks, the better. So does anybody have any questions while I'm doing this? Because I can kind of see the computer out at the side of my eye here. Any comments? Love it, hate it, want to try it, can't wait to try it, trying it with you. Look at how fun. You know what is really funny is that mindless things are where I doodle. In a meeting, on the phone, um, church. My church notes are like so doodled up. Like my brain will go off on a tangent, and you know, when I'm done, I'm like, ooh, I should make a stamp out of that. But it's always about the message, whatever the message is, or how the message is speaking to me. Look at how cute that is. Just look at how simple. I mean, seriously. You have to try. If you guys try this, please, 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 please tag me in it so I can see it. How cute is that? Okay, so this one, let's do thanks a bunch. Okay, so on this one, we're going to write thanks a bunch. And again, don't forget your spirals, but I'm going to do my, you guys get the idea on the spirals. I want to move on because I want to give you a couple more ideas. But the spirals and stuff really kind of make it. And you can get as detailed as you want. Oh, I doodle on the phone. Okay, so let's do this type font, okay? Because I really love how this is. It's so free looking. Okay, so this is all I did. It's quick. Look, T, nothing is the same size. The H comes up higher, and then it extends down below. Can you guys see that? A is a double stack A. The N, the longer down. The K comes up. Look at that. That's cute just by itself. Thanks, A. And I think too it helps if you write super fast. Like, don't think about it. Thanks a bunch. See that? Now let's give it a little bit of weight. We're going to come down on our T, finish it off. On our H, we're going to come down this way. Put feet on everything. On the A, we're going to put a foot on that one. I don't know what the technical names of this, and I don't care. It doesn't matter to me because I'm not going to give it much thought. On the A on this one, let's come around this way with the A. Let's come up this way with the N. Let's go in this way with the K. And on the S, I'm going to just do this and then maybe swirl it out and fatten it up coming around this way. And then on this A, Don't forget, if you put the feet on one thing, you gotta kind of put the feet on everything. Consistency makes better lettering, I think, to be honest with you. Okay, we're gonna come down here. On this B, we're gonna come down, and don't go into my flower. It's gonna look like it's tucked a little bit behind, and that's okay. The U, come down here, come down this way, up this way. Bring this down, put a foot there, foot there, foot there, foot there. Okay, now it's time to fill in. I'm not going to fill in with this pen. It's not heavy enough. Come back in with a thicker pen, like maybe the Sharpie might work. This one's about dried up. Hold on. Where's my other Sharpie? Be careful with the Sharpies, guys, because they do bleed through sometimes, so you have to be careful. I've got a regular, this is the ultra fine Sharpie. I just find that if I go with a broader tip for filling in the heavy spots, I do much better than with those micro nibs. And you know what? Where I am being, like, see, look right here. See how my lettering got a little bit thick on the end? I can easily correct that by just bringing this down and making it just a little heavier by tracing over it and drawing out the little. Does anybody have any questions? You think you can do this? Even with your handwriting. I practice handwriting, practice all the time, and don't think about it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. You can do it. You can do it. And again, it's how you hold your pencil too. I truly believe that it's all in how you hold your pen. And find out, do you work better with a thicker pen in your hand or a thinner pen? Because I found that my hand cramps too much if I have a pen that's really, the barrel of it is really narrow. It hurts my hand sometimes. So I'm going to come back in here, put a little fill in here. Might have got a little heavy-handed with that, but you guys get the idea. Again, I'd take my time and do this a little slower if I was. Okay, so on this one, let's do this. Just for a little variation. Have fun. Color them in with your pen. That makes them a little bolder. Giving them a little more weight. This reminds me of those little seeds that get when you walk through the grass. Is it bahia seeds that get on your, we call them beggar lice here in the South. I don't know what you guys call them, but they get stuck to your pants when you walk through the yard. Good night, Sue. We're almost done. I mean, I really just wanted to get a couple of techniques in there for you guys. So, do you guys want to hang out for about a half an hour more and see how I did the swag? We won't do any more sentiments because we got to rush with those. And then in the center of my daisies, I just draw a bunch of little tiny circles. Just to give them a little bit of life. It makes them look more like little seed packets, and it's just little tiny circles. Let me show you up close. That's what they look like up close. The little beggar lice, I hate them too. I hate them. They get in my dog's fur. Okay, and another fun thing to do is after everything is good and dry, I'm going to stop this for right now because I could do this for hours. On some of these thicker letters, just take your gel pen, your white gel pen. I think this one's about had it. I have used the heck out of it. Let me see if I can get it going. There it goes. This is my favorite white gel pen. I don't know about you guys, but it's made by Sakura and it's the Jelly Roll. And I just put a little line right in the center of my heavy points to just add a few highlights. Fun stuff. Anybody can do this, guys. Anybody can do it. And then maybe a little dot in the middle of our beggar lice. Now look at how cute that is. Isn't it fun? This card is a 4x6. It's a A2. I just took a sheet of paper, folded it in half. Hold on, let me get. I'll use this. Fold it in half this way. Cut it in half this way. That's all it is. 8.5 by 11. Fold it in half. Cut it in half. Okay, let's put some white dots on this. Y'all ready? Okay, that one's done. All right, let's do the swag. I'm going to show you guys really fast how to do. That one's probably too complicated. We'll do this. Same flower techniques, both flowers. We're just going to do really quick right here. Okay, so for this one, you can, until you get the hang of it, take a pencil and just lightly trace a line, maybe a squiggle line. Okay? And it's very light. You guys probably can't even see it. But it's very light because then I can come back and erase it. Okay? You don't want to gouge it in. You want to just very lightly freehand it on there as a guide so that you keep everything straight. It's not necessary. Once you get the feel for it, it'll be a lot easier. So I'm going to start with my dominant things first. Okay? So the first thing I want to try is my number 10 brush is all gunked up with white paint. So I'm going to use my number 14 brush for this. Actually, yes, I am. Okay, I'm going to take my light yellow, my medium toned yellow. Let me pull my palette back up here. We zoomed in. So I'm going to take this color yellow right here. And again, same technique as before. A circle, draw it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. This brush is holding way more water than the other one was because it's bigger. I might have to switch because that daisy's a bit large, but we're going to go with it. We're just going to go with it. See, that's the thing, is you want to keep it as organic as possible. Just if you think you're making a mistake, just let it go. You can do it. Let it go. Okay, we have a ginormous sunflower there. And that's the only yellow I want on this card. So the next thing is I'm going to pick up this purple here, this very light lilac. And I'm going to drop one here. Again, circle, circle, circle. Okay? Let it be organic. Whatever happens, happens. Just let it go. And don't worry about that line. If you see it, you can erase it. Or by the time we're done, you're not even going to notice it. Maybe put one here that's small and maybe one here that's small. Now I want to show you one more flower technique, and so instead of putting all these little tiny dots, I mean seriously, they're just dots. That's all we're going to do is little dots. Notice I'm kind of keeping it a little symmetrical. Circles. Circle, circles. That's it. Okay, now the other thing I want to do is I'm going to come back with the pink. This maybe magenta right here. This magenta. And this time I want to show you guys this flower is so simple. And it looks so cool. Is you're just going to touch and then touch. Okay? So it looks like a little heart. Look at how cute that is. Super cute. And I'm going to put one over here. Just touch and touch. Keeping the fat end of the brush down here at the base. And then maybe one more over here. I'm kind of fill in so much that I'm not going to have room for my sentiment if I'm not careful. So, but we don't care, do we? Touch, touch. See how it comes out. And then maybe I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, now let's come back with our green because we need to fill in some green. And this is where it's going to get really fun. Let's go ahead and dry this really fast. Anybody got any questions? Missy, what are you testing? Look at how cute that is. And it looks like just little blobs of paint. But wait till we're done. It's going to be so pretty. Okay, so next I'm going to come back with my fuchsia, my hot pink that we used here, which is this pink right here. And in the center of my roses, I'm going to just kind of come around and throw a couple of them little spirals there at the very tip. In the darker area. See where the paint's kind of flooded in a little dark? I'm just going to follow that advice, that suggestion. Maybe come out around the edge a little too on some of them. Fill in. Okay? And I'm not, you see, I'm just dropping paint. I'm not even really doing anything. Okay, so I'm going to clean that brush off really well and come back with my light green. And this is where our leaves are going to come in. So in this case, think about a flower. This is going to be the base of this flower, so we're going to put a little spot of green there. So I'm just going to do the same technique I did with the rose. I'm just going to touch the base. Just touch, touch. I'm going to keep it rotating so you guys can see. Maybe make this the base. Touch, touch. Very organic. Keeping it super organic. Just a squiggle of paint there. Maybe touch, touch. We might need a squiggle of paint there. And I mean, seriously, guys, I'm just squiggling. That's all I'm doing. It's super, like, super fancy, right? Super fancy terminology here. Squiggle. See, I'm just touching. Let it be organic. Let it do whatever it's going to do on its own. It doesn't matter because the definition is really coming from our doodles. It's not coming. And see, like this one, I want it to kind of be attached here. So I'm just going to kind of pull it all down. It looks like a big globby green mess right now, but just trust me on this. It's going to look super fantastic awesomeness. Okay, and then on this side, I mean, seriously, I think anyone can do this. Does anyone in this audience right now think they can't do this? Like, look at how fun. And you see where it mixed with the red a little bit and got a little blotchy? No worries. I don't care. Don't care. I need a little drop of color back off in here. Maybe some leaves. Get some things going. Maybe maybe even having some leaves off on their own. I might need a little more color on that one. But you guys get the idea, right? Okay, so now let's put a little definition in our little sunflower. Again, just wetting my brush, cleaning it off well. Got my little blotter over here to catch up some of this moisture. Now I'm going to come back because I need a little definition. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of this color right here. The commercial's graceful, or I am? I haven't got a graceful bone in my body. Oh, that's a bit dark. Okay, so see, I went, ooh, that's a bit dark. No worries, just add a little more, flood it up with a little bit of paint. I mean, a little bit of water. And see, it's just a big blob. Anybody can make a big messy blob, right? Look at that. It's okay. Let it go. We can do this. Okay, so then I'm going to come back with my yellow that I started out at my base and just add a little definition around it and pull the two colors in together. Again, just keeping in a circle. It really doesn't matter if it's perfect or has a perfect petal shape because we're going to draw out the perfect petal shape on our own. Now I've decided I might need a little bit of yellow over here, but I don't want a big blob of yellow. Okay, so all I'm going to do is maybe do a few drops. Maybe a couple here, here, and here. And see how that's like a puddle of liquid right there? Just take your blotter and down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. It spreads out a little bit, but that's okay. All right, look at how cool that is now. It just looks like a big globby mess, right? So we're going to hit it with the heat. Anybody got any questions? Make your blobs, colorful blobs. I feel like I'm in that happy place, you know, like it already looks like a really pretty spring bouquet and we haven't even done anything to it. I mean, seriously, we've just blobbed. I mean, seriously. Okay, who thinks they can do this? This is just easy. Simple, 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 simple. Keep it simple. KISS, the KISS principle. Keep it simple. Okay, so we really want to make sure this is good and dry. And I know my Reminisce pen will right over the top of that, so I'm going to do it with that because I did it yesterday. All right, so here we go. You can still see my line here, but no worries, it's going to go away. What we're going to do is start tracing over the things we can truly identify. And I'm going to start out with these little pointed flowers because they're cute. And all I'm going to do is draw a heart that's not closed. Okay? So it's just a little heart. I'm just simply tracing around what's there. Okay? Got it? The yellow blob. Okay, so then on the center of these flowers, I'm going to 1, 2, 3. 3 little lines. The end of each line, a little dot. And the lines can be different heights. They don't all have to be the same height. In fact, it's better if they're not the same height. So now we have another one of these. I like doing all the things that are the same first. That's just what I do. Okay, so I'm going to do a heart there, a heart here. Pull this down and then do small hearts filling in that green all the way to the base. Okay, see that? And then dot, 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 circle, circle, dot, dot. No, I'm not going to finish that. Okay. I'm a giant goober, guys. Okay, so we're going to pull this down and then half hearts all the way up. Half hearts. Okay. The trick is with each flower, be consistent with how you draw them. Consistency will make it all look right. Okay? See how it's just starting to come to life? This is still a little wet, so I'm going to let it sit for a minute. So on this one, I'm going to trace around the blobs. That's all you're doing is tracing around the blob. Okay? And then we're just going to pull up. Voila, a blobby leaf. Same thing here. Trace around the blob. There's another blob. Let the paint dictate where the ink is going to go. Okay? And truthfully, this is where it comes to life, is when you start doing these kinds of things. So again, trace around the blob. Tracing around the blob. Okay? Now here, what I want to do is carry off the same theme that I had here. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to pull in, and I'm just doing loops. Okay? Right here, we're going to trace around the blob, trace around the blob. And then we're going to save that one for a few minutes because it's still really wet. Let's come back over here, trace around the blob. I mean, I'm saying this over and over again because that's what I want to reinforce in your brain, is that I can do this because all I'm doing is tracing around a blob of paint. Okay, now let's do our roses. Again, little heart in the center, and then spiral around. Now on this rose, let's give it a little perspective. Let's put the heart right here in the center, and this time keep your spiral up towards the top. Then come down and make it like a little point right here where it would come down into these leaves. Same thing over here. Pull it down. And then if you want, you can come out and do these too. This. See how cute that is? And let's do another one right here. Okay, so you're going to give your little heart. Paint's coming up. Okay, so then only keep, okay, in this case, see where the darker pink is here? You have a light pink and then a dark pink. We're going to keep this spiral in that darker pink area. Okay, and then we're just going to trace this down. Trace it down this way. So it gives it a little more of a perspective. Okay, now here, go the other way with it. Let's go the spiral this way and then trace around it this way. And then pull this flower or this leaf down this way. Right here, darker area, spiral around, pull it down, and then, okay, spiral around. This is the last card we'll do, guys. Pull it around. Okay, and then right here where these come together, look at that. So fun. Okay, so around our little yellow blobby dots, wait, we got to do the spiral right here first. Okay, we're going to draw a heart in the center, and then just kind of squiggle it out. Look at how it came to life just doing those little squiggles. It's so simple. It is so simple. Okay, so we need to do our little dot here in the center of our daisy. Let's go ahead and draw out our daisy first before we do that. Well, no, let's do it. Because if we don't, it might just blot it a little. So, okay, remember what we did. And then where's this? Let's just do this. Dry it for just a second. Okay, and in this case, we could do one big flower, or we could even do some smaller, like do some layering in here. So let's do some layering. Let's go. Okay, so there's our first row of flowers. Then we're going to come back and just trace around the blob. Trace around the blob. Keep it organic. Remember, petals grow in different shapes and different sizes and different lengths. It's okay. Sometimes they're flowers, you're seeing a petal from a flower that's maybe behind it. It's okay. Okay, and then here we're going to do our circles, circles, circles. And then all we have to do is make sure things are connected. Okay, and this is where it gets interesting. A little spiral here and there. Okay, you come into these little holes and draw little spirals. Oh, we forgot our little blobbies over here. I don't know. I think we kind of leave them as spots and not worry with it too much. Little spirals. The spirals are what makes it. What do you think? What else can we do? Oh, some little hearts in your negative spaces would be cute too, like right here. What if we drew a little heart and then we connected it down and drew some of these little spirals that don't have any color on them at all. Um, but don't be afraid to twist and turn your paper around to meet your needs, like here. Oh, we need to put a sentiment on this before we get too crazy. But what we could do is actually print our sentiment on a little fishtail banner and then write it in there. How cute is this? It's just so adorable. Okay, so I expect to, by the weekend, see a couple of these cute little cards popping up everywhere. Don't forget some little dots here and there too, because that really makes it come to life. I mean, seriously, all you're doing is blobbing paint and then coming back and doodling around them. I mean, that's really all you're doing. And it's all spirals. That's really all it is. It's just little spirals. And look at how fantastic that turned out. Okay, so, and again, just save these for when you need them and put the sentiment on it. And I could come back and just stamp happy birthday really small down here and it would be super adorable. I think inside each one of these little spots, I'm going to come in and make like a little heart. That one's up by a heart, so I'm going to leave it alone. But maybe over here. And it's just really just let your imagination run wild. So we made 3 cards tonight. We did this one, thanks a bunch. We did, which was the other one we did? Oh, right here. Love you bunches. And then this one, we need some splatters on this one. Let's do some colored splatters on this one. We did white on all the others, but, and I like the white. We might come back with the white. But let's take this really hot pink. Oop. And then maybe come back with some white too. The white, I need to water down my white a little bit. The white kind of reminds me a little bit of baby's breath. What you guys think? I will upload it to YouTube tomorrow. You will see it tomorrow. Super simple class tonight, guys. We are done. I could do this for hours. I mean, seriously, all this is just splotches of paint and just a different cloudy kind of doodle. This one, it's just splotches of paint, following around, doodling around them. The doodles are what makes it come to life, honestly. And you know, if you had a little butterfly stamp, you could definitely just kind of draw yourself a little butterfly in the middle of that. Um, oh, awesome. Yes, do them in gold. Jordana said that she did her doodling in gold Signo pen, so awesome idea. Vicky, how did yours turn out? Please, please post a picture of it on Facebook and tag me in it. Or if you Instagram it, do Instagramming, do hashtag following Tonya Gibbs. Look at how fun! I mean, seriously, how cute would it be to give this as a gift where maybe you have thank you or just a note or love you or whatever. Just say some generic sentiments on them and then give them away as a box set. How pretty. And they're all, every one I do looks different. I mean, I don't care how many times I do it, it looks different. This is the one we did tonight versus the one I did yesterday. And this is the difference between squigglies versus just circles. And these would be fantastic, like my rejects, the ones that I would call, like, say, a reject. For example, well, I don't know, I like all of these. Let's just say this one was my reject, because I already have a Mother's Day card. You can just come back after you've done this, fussy cut these stinkers out, and put them on your scrapbook pages, or pop them up and do 3D embellishments with them. Pop them up on another card. Like, how fun would it be to take this one? Guys, I could do this for hours. Like, y'all are going to have a hard time shutting me up. I just want to show you this really fast. Use them in your mini albums or your art journals, on other cards or other scrapbook pages in place of flowers. Okay, see, if I wasn't like in a hurry, I would spend a little more time and cut this out neatly, but hey, we've been sloppy all night. What's another little bit, right? Okay, so we have this. How cute is it? So now what if we took it with one of these and sort of put it up on a pop dot, you know, to give it a little depth. Pocket letters. Yes, 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 yes. Do these on tags. Oh my gosh, guys. I think I've got your wheels burning here. Pocket letters. You could do scrapbook pages. Instead of, if you wanted to keep your scrapbook pages flat, you could definitely, or a mini album, art journals. You know, you could definitely do these easily, like if you got everything in place and then drew the doodles out around everything in place. And they're super simple. A year ago, I would have said there is no way I could do that. And then all of a sudden, you know what started this brainstorming idea is I had pulled out these watercolors and I was just sitting here playing around. I'm going to stop the recording, but I'm going to stay and talk for a second.